Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Wacky Wednesdays. I literally just turned my music off. I mean, that was so close. I was jamming, man. I was jamming. Got to fluff up this hair a little bit. There we go. See, when it gets to this point, and you can't quite see it, if you were like standing in front of me, it'd look a lot different. But this is what I call my Mike Brady phase. It's just really curly. And then I ran out of my pomade, right? And so my wife gave me this gel, and it makes it curlier. So I got extra curly hair. Yeah, it's getting there. On camera, it looks all flat and everything. Oh well, I'm sure. I'm really sure that you've been showing up to see how Dion's hair is doing. It always reminds me of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Where he wakes up, he's like, how's my hair? How's my hair? He's always got it in a net. All right. I'm a Dapper Dan man. If you give me no pomade, I'm Dapper Dan man. All right. Yeah. And I had nightmares all night. So I got up late. How I'm in this good of a mood, I don't know. Usually when I have nightmares. I'm noticing something though. I seem to have nightmares Tuesday nights. There's something that always happens on Tuesday. It is therapy. Is my therapy setting off is it triggering? I don't know. They weren't as bad. I mean, they weren't so overwhelming that I couldn't turn it around pretty quick this morning. Violent, but sometimes I wonder if my subconscious is just a lot more violent than me. I do. I wonder that because in my dreams I get that way. When they put me under to do my thing for the finger, they didn't put me all the way under, just kind of under. I started fighting everybody. I told you. I guess you can't put me under either. I'm gonna knock your ass out. It's my survival skills. I can't help it. When I go to a restaurant, I like to sit where I can see everybody. I do not like to sit with my back to the door. No. And don't worry, I'm watching for you. If you're with me, I tell you now, if you're out in public with me, you're protected because I'm watching. I got your back. All right. That's why I throw my bottles. Throw them that way because trash is over there. Don't worry, I pick it up. My house isn't just full of. It isn't like I'm still drinking in. My house is full of, empty liquor bottles. I'll have a bunch of empty, soda bottles around. I got rid of half my sugar, though. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a little bit better today, because I didn't have as much sugar the last couple of days. Might be it. Yeah. Usually I have these snacks like bakery. Oh, man. Give me a chocolate chip muffin all day. Oh, yeah. Nom, 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 nom. Nom, nom. Man, I feel bad for everybody that didn't make it to this one today. This is a good one. This one turned out decent. So I've been trying some new stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow so I can help more people, and because I'm going to be doing the peer-led pathways, and the more the better, right? So I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, all right. So, and that's just me yakking. Yep. I didn't prepare any of that. I don't usually prepare. As far as I prepare, because there, if I prepare too much, then I don't need to ask God for help. Aha, see, man, I've been getting a lot of spam calls the last couple of days, like a lot. No, I think I'm back on the you're not listed on Google search. Shell says, let the old Dion go. Go, by the way, not sitting with your back to the door. Males have been doing that since the cave days. Yeah, it's a protection thing. I remember when my wife and I, were the first time we went out when we were kids, we were walking down the street, and I took her and I moved her to the inside, and I said, if you're ever with a man and he doesn't move you to the inside, he's no good. He's no good. Okay. And I'm going to tell you that also. If you are walking down the street with a man and he doesn't put you on the inside or where he can protect you, you are with the wrong man. I'm telling you. Okay. If he doesn't open your door when you first start going out, you got the wrong man. Now, men, if she doesn't reach over and unlock your door, that's a test I have. I will not go out with you. If I open the door and I shut it and you don't reach over and unlock my door, last date. All right. Probably doesn't work now because everything's electronic. Whatever. You kids go do what you want to do. I don't date anyway. Thank God. I'm so glad I found the person I'm supposed to be with. All right. It's time for Dion's Daily Funnies. Are you ready? Now, this time I picked a dad jokes for adults. So I don't know how this is going to turn out because dad jokes usually need to be clean. Dad jokes need to be, you should be able to say them anywhere. That's what a dad joke is about. So we'll see. What's orange and red and full of disappointment? School pizza. Actually, I might have to save this. Why did the customer close her bank? It says, why did the customer close her bank account? I think it is just a mistake. Close her bank account. When she asked to check her balance, the teller pushed her over. Wasn't very nice of the teller to do that. I think they meant a different balance, right? It actually took me a second to get that one. And that reminds me, once I was kidnapped by mimes, and they did unspeakable things to me. No memory. Like I did. Tell these after dark when the kids are in bed. No one is safe. Okay, I guess we're actually getting to those adult ones now. I guess we weren't there yet. Why is it so cheap to throw a party at a haunted house? Because the ghosts bring all the booze. No way, so that's what do you call bees that produce milk instead of honey? Boobies. I can see that. What did the full glass say to the empty glass? You look drunk. You look drunk. Hello, audience. Okay. The fact that I couldn't hit the button in time was funnier. All right. What do you call a dog that's been run over by a steamroller? Spot. Yeah, fish get high. Hey, I didn't tell the joke. I screwed that one up bad. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. I'm your host. Got an interview today. We got a podcast today. Benjamin Lerner. Um, Feels kind of weird. It doesn't get set up the usual way. So my brain's like, I don't think he's going to show up, but he probably is. So hopefully we have a podcast coming out this afternoon. Benjamin Lerner. Seems like he's a pretty good kid, man. So I'm interested to talk to him. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Now, let's remember, I'm 55 years old. So if you're under 50, you're still a child to me. Okay. If you're under 45, okay, you're a kid to me. You're still kind of a kid. All right. I think that just comes from my own perception because I didn't grow up till later in life. Right. And that's why I had a lot of emotional distress. Since my refusal to grow up, right? If I was born when I was a kid, I would be up my mom's butt. I'd be bugging somebody. I'd pick on my brother. I'd do something, right? And I got bored when I was a kid. I couldn't control my emotional natures. If I didn't get what I wanted, I'd throw myself on the ground and kick and scream. That would be at 30. That would be at 30 years old, right? Does it work? Does it? Right? Is there a part of you that still feels like it's like as a kid? Because I do. I do. I Sometimes I still turn around and go, I have 4 kids and 5 grandchildren. What? When did this happen? How did this happen? It's kind of crazy to me to think that I'm a grandfather. I'm not just a grandfather. I have 5 grandkids, and all the kids have said there are no more. That's how old I'm getting. My kids are saying no more kids. I'm a pretty young grandpa. I'm going to tell you, I am glad that I am a young grandpa. I am. So, um, I'm glad I came ahead. My kids a little earlier. Shannon had her kids a little earlier. Our kids had them a little bit. So good stuff. Yeah. But we're talking about emotional natures and stuff, right? Being our own, right? Creating our own emotional security. What are we talking about here? We're talking about self esteem. We're talking about self worth. We're talking about you. But the first thing I found that I had to do was to cut off these faulty dependencies that I had on everyone around me. Okay. And I've cut most of them. There's still some things that I go to my wife for that I could probably take care of myself. Right. My wife and I, we have a great relationship. She's even still kind of doing the dishes, helping me out with stuff because my finger isn't quite there yet. We do a lot of stuff for each other. At least we try. Right. All right. And we're there emotionally. It's always nice to have that. On Sunday, was kind of hard around here. We found out that figured out we were, flat broke, and God took care of that pretty darn quickly. Within hours, He took care of it because we decided, you know what, it is what it is. We got each other. We'll make it. We will make it as long as we stick together, as long as we do what we need to do. We will be taken care of. It was faith, and it worked. All right, so I'm reading from March 11th in A Day at a Time. This is Hazelden literature. I will probably pull out Emotional Sobriety, also the next frontier, except I'm going to read the last half of it. I usually read the first half. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Who knows what happens there? God is the only one. I never know how these are going to go. All right. I never know who's going to show up. All right. Since I came to the program, I have begun to recognize my previous inability to form true partnerships with another person. Well, it's because I didn't know how to act. You know what to do. All right. So I'm gonna let you guys know something that happens to me every now and again, because it just happened. Every now and again, I get this doubt that I'm not going to be able to do this daily trudge. It happens to me often, where I get this little doubt. Right? It happens. Right? I just get back to what it is that I'm doing. What is that? Well, that's my brain saying, "Oh, you can't do this," and I don't. It's not true. Why? Because it can be a little uncomfortable. Mm, right? Anyway, it goes on to say, it seems that my egomania created two disastrous pitfalls. They make it sound like somebody is writing this, but they are literally stealing it right from Bill W. Okay? I mean, come on. This is verging on plagiarism. It's a joke, folks. Okay. We don't, the big book is copyrighted, but that's about it. All right. Anyway, I thought I was being funny, but I don't think it worked out as well as I thought it would. Either I insisted upon dominating the people I knew, or I depended on them far too much. Yeah. I had to start relying on Dion. I had to start relying on me. There are a lot of things that I had to work through so I could start relying on myself. Even down to like this is a good example. Today I I can have my meds delivered to me if I want, and I can do it far enough in advance where I'm not gonna miss out on a day, anything like that. But I go pick them up so I have a reason to get out of the house. Now, before I would have my wife pick those things up. I'd do it at the last minute. My wife would pick them up, but right now it's a little bit more in advance and I go pick them up. Something that I can take over, that I can do, right? Because it was real hard for me to get out of the house for years. All right. So these little things that help us, you know, not have to rely on people so much. Yeah. You can cook your own dinner. You can take out the trash. You can do the chores. There's a lot of things you can do. All right. Now, there's going to be one thing that comes up that might be hard for you to step into: sponsorship. When you start sponsoring, you're going to find out who you are. Okay. You don't really truly go through the steps until you take somebody else through them. Yeah, it's true. I know. But I did the steps. Until you take somebody through them also, it's kind of incomplete, or at least attempting to. You got to give it away. You have got to give it away. If you do not give away what was freely given to you, you're not going to keep the gift that you have received. It's the only way it works. If you want to go try other ways, figure it out. I mean, go for it. Or you can listen to the people that came before you who said, yeah, we tried it, it didn't work. And you can just maybe have a little faith in the fact that they tried it and it didn't work. Well, I'm different than you. I can tell you right now, I don't think I've met too many people smarter than Bill. And you think it took smarts to do this program? See, that's where people are fooled. No, it didn't take intelligence. It took discernment, faith, and it certainly needed God. AA is divinely inspired. It was not created by anybody. Did he pick Bill and Bob? Yes, he did. For very good reasons. Do I know those reasons? No. Do I need to know those reasons? No, I don't. Why? Why? Why would I need to know? For my own security. That's why I would need to know. Well, I can create my own security. There's a trick to it. We don't talk about it much in AA because a lot of AA meetings would probably consider an outs. Well, I don't know, right? So there's three things that we have to be responsible for. One, our own actions. All right. We can agree with that. We got to be responsible for our own actions. Got to be responsible for my own emotions. We can agree on that. But I can tell you now, the hardest one, because there's so much shame, blame, angst, resentment, anger, all this other stuff because of all of that. The last one's going to be hard. Triggers. You've got to be responsible for your triggers. Okay? People tend to think that AA is a safe space. No, it's not. I don't feel safe there. You're not, nobody said anything about it being safe. No one said that. We will do the best that we can, but we're not going to change well, we might change it for you and feel a little more comfortable, but your safe space has got to come from you, man. You have got to be your own safe space. When we decide that other people need to create a safe space for us, now we're off the beam. And I know, because I used to expect that, and I try, and it doesn't work. When I expect other people to create a safe space for me, when other people deem that this is a safe space, it's not possible. That means I'm going to have to control every single person in that room. Ain't gonna work, is it? It's not going to work. So quit claiming you can create a safe space. Is this a safe space? Kinda. It now it is safe in the fact that nobody, it's just me and Michelle here right now. But anybody could pop in and say anything. Does that make it unsafe just because somebody came in and made a comment? I've had a few trolls. It's been a while since I had a troll in here. I had somebody hit on me the other day. Actually, that was a few weeks ago. All right. In the last year, I've had 3 trolls. 2 of them are now listeners. How dare you come in? You invade and you say something off kilter to see. The thing is my brain, I switch topics and stuff so much that doing that doesn't change anything for me. It's still going to be the same show, right? Because I am not allowing that to trigger me. Right? The top 2, because the comments are right. So, yeah, you have got to be responsible for your stuff. All right. What else does it say? My friends in the program have taught me that my dependence meant demand. And we all know the difference between a request and a demand. You know the difference. You're adult enough to know that. All right. They've taught me dependence meant demand, a demand for the possession and control of the people and the conditions surrounding me. Do I still try to find emotional security either by dominating or being dependent upon others? I see this a lot. Of course I do. I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. Kind of goes with the territory. People make mistakes too. Yeah. I see it in the industry a lot though, and that's not okay. Anyway, all right. What is this going to lead to? Well, it's going to lead to freedom. Yeah. It's going to lead to freedom, total freedom. That's what we need. We need freedom. All right. Today I pray, may I turn first to God to satisfy my love hunger, knowing that all he asks from me is my faith in him. May I no longer cast emotional nets over those I love, either by dominating them or being excessively dependent upon them, which is just another form of domination. May I give others the room they need to be themselves. May God show me the way to mature human relationships. Today, I will remember to have faith in God's love. See, that's the appropriate love. That was my problem. And we don't really like to talk about this one. People skirt, even when they talk about emotional sobriety, they skirt it. We alcoholics get love and sex mixed up. We get it mixed up in our heads. All right, so let's just call it out. That's what happened to me. When I drank, I was a fucking horn dog, man. That just blow out your ears. I was a slut. Yeah. It took me years to start differentiating these. And it wasn't until I did this that I started forming true relationships with people, aside from my wife, who I've always had a true relationship with. It's really hard. It's hard to talk about these things. It's hard to admit, but I'll say it. All right. I think it might be easier for men to say that. Okay. But no, it's still the same word. Slutty, slut, slut, slut. Okay. I'm not proud of it. I'm not. Is what it is. But that's what fucked everything up. Okay. And that happened because some things happened to me when I was younger. Is it my fault that that happened? No. But I've got to take responsibility for the triggers, the actions, the emotions, or I'm not going to have the freedom that I need to develop good relationships with other people. Yeah. And now I have true friendships. It is really nice. Adult, mature relationships. Weird. I'm not used to them. I am now. I'm a little bit more used to them now because I've had these friendships for a little bit. So we're going to dive into Next Frontier, Emotional Sobriety. I know I said I was going to read the second part, but the second part doesn't really give, well, let's just see what happens. All right, the Next Frontier, Emotional Sobriety, January 1958. 1958. You need to remember that date. Okay, because he's going to talk about something that he said he thought was going to happen, but it didn't. I didn't even know about this, about emotional sobriety and this right here until, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. How come this didn't come up? Until then, I had never even heard of emotional sobriety. I'm sure I'd heard of it, but not in this sense. All right. Just keep that in mind as we read this. I think many Ulsters who have put our AA booze cure to severe but successful tests still find they often lack emotional sobriety. Perhaps they will be the spearhead for the next major development in AA, the development of much more real maturity and balance, which is to say, humility in our relations with ourselves, with our fellows, and with God. That's the part that I don't think happened. Or we would have been talking about this in AA meetings for the last 30, 40 years. That's all I'm going to say on that. Because that's not the topic, right? What we're talking about is creating our own emotional security. Okay. Now, I will sit here and share my feelings. I will cry. I will laugh. I have a range of emotions. People don't fuck with me. Yeah, don't fuck with me. That's not smart. Because I will cry and chew your ass at the same time. I have no problem with that. All right. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm not a mean guy. Hey, I'm not. I'm a pretty kind guy. I love you. I love you so much, I will tell you the truth. All right. Shell says, we hear things that were right in front of you when you're meant to. Yeah, fair enough. Goes on to say those adolescent urges that so many of us have for top approval, perfect security, and perfect romance. Urges quite appropriate to the age of 17 prove to be an impossible way of life when we're at the age of 47 or 57. You want to see how high I can jump? Yeah, I just got some new shoes. You want to see how high I can jump? I can jump really fast. I can jump really high with these shoes. Right? I can do a somersault. You want to see me do a somersault? I can do a somersault. I can do a somersault. Want to see me do a cartwheel? I can't do one. I used to be able to, but now I got this grandpa bod. All right. You get the point, though. We've got to grow up. All right. Since AA began, I've taken immense wall-ups in these areas because of my failure to grow up. Emotionally and spiritually. My God, how painful it is to keep demanding the impossible, and how very painful to discover finally that all along we've had the cart before the horse. That's because we always have the cart before the horse. We're alcoholics. Always. That's why Dion needs accountability. Or I will slap that cart right before the horse, thinking I'm doing the right thing. I need direction because I need to grow up, right? Then comes the final agony of seeing how awfully wrong we have been, but still finding ourselves unable to get off the emotional, merry-go-round. Sorry, my page was flipped. You can tell this book's perfectly fine except for this one page. All my books have fallen apart. How to translate a right mental conviction into right emotional result and so into easy, happy, and good living. Well, that's not only the neurotics problem, it's the problem of life itself for all of us who have gotten to the point of real willingness to hew to right principles in all of our affairs. I understood this. The first time I read this, I felt it to the bone. I was just starting to work through my PTSD. And this made sense to me. I'm like, I'm willing, but I still feel the same. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? All right. So I found some other things that I needed to deal with that were attributed to this, right? Okay. Because I had the willingness to hew the right principles, right? But what I was doing is I was still being dependent upon other people, right? And I literally had to sit down with my therapist and make goals just to take care of that. That's what I did. And it took years. It took me years to get through it. May not take you as long. I was pretty badly battered. Right? None of it was easy. The easy way would have been just continue drinking. Even then, as we hew away, peace and joy may still elude us. That's the place so many of us AA ulcers have come to. See, there was a big part of me, a really big part of me that I didn't talk about that didn't want me to be happy. I didn't think I did not think I had earned the right to be happy in this life. Again, I was wrong. I had the cart before the horse. I did deserve it. You deserve it. But Dion, I've done some pretty bad things. I know. You still deserve joy and happiness. All right. That's the place so many of us AA ulcers have come to, and it's a hell of a spot, literally. How shall our unconscious, from which so many of our fears, compulsions, and phony aspirations still stream, be brought into line with what we actually believe, know, and want? How to convince our dumb, raging, and hidden Mr. Hyde becomes our main task. They're talking about depression here, by the way. Okay. Hyde. Mr. Hyde. Did you know Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is about mental illness? That's the whole point. Mr. Hyde. People that are hiding their depression. The people that are always happy. Look at Robin Williams. Look what happened with Robin Williams, man. Somebody who seemed to be one of the happiest people in the world. Yeah. So, people do not hide being happy. They hide being depressed. And that's what I did. I was hiding my depression instead of confronting it. All right. I've recently come to believe that this can be achieved. I believe so because began to see many benighted ones, folks like you and me, commencing to get results last autumn. Depression, having no really rational cause at all, almost took me to the cleaners. I began to be scared that I was in for another long chronic spell. Considering the grief I've had with depressions, it wasn't a bright spot prospect. I kept asking myself, why can't the 12 steps work to release depression? By the hour, I stared at the St. Francis prayer. It's better to comfort than to be comforted. Here was the formula, all right, but why didn't it work? This one, when I first read it too, hit me hard because I do understand the St. Francis prayer. I understand it, but it wasn't working for me. And here's why. Suddenly I realized what the matter was. My basic flaw had always been dependence, almost absolute dependence on people or circumstances to supply me with prestige, security, and the like. Failing to get these according to my perfectionist dreams and specifications, I had fought for them, and when defeat came, so did my depression. Now, I had to find a balance because there are some things I cannot do. I can't do them. There's a lot of things that I can't do, and it's hard. As a man, it's really hard. Like working for someone. I I would much rather have to put up with somebody's bullshit than have to maintain my mental illnesses day after day after day. Trust me. I'd rather have that. But that's not what God wants. Now, I don't think God is torturing me or anything like that. I do think that I'm learning something because he gave me some skills. He gave me some mad skills, man, of being able to help other people. I'm very good at it. I can sit down with you and in 2 minutes I will know you because patterns do not lie, right? So it was my demands. And alcoholism isn't the only thing that did that. And I do not need alcohol in me in order to be a jerk. That's not a brag. It's just fact. And that part I don't find funny. I used to think it was funny. Oh, I don't need alcohol. Yeah, not funny. That one isn't. Not to me, anyway. So there wasn't a chance of making the outgoing love of St. Francis a workable and joyous way of life until these fatal and almost absolute dependencies were cut away. You might know of somebody that's been in the program for years and years and years. They're sponsoring, they're doing this, they're doing that, but they failed to grow up emotionally, and that's why they go out. Because the person that they were depending on, that they were doing that with, is now no longer available, and now that that person's no longer available, drinking is on the table. The those really angry old timers in the meeting, it's this right here. They're not getting what they want, so they're acting like a jerk. I know, because that's what happens to me. Except I recognize it and do something about it. All right. Because I had over the years undergone a little spiritual development, the absolute quality of these frightful dependencies had never been so starkly revealed. Reinforced by what grace I could secure in prayer, I found I had to exert every ounce of will and action to cut off these faulty emotional dependencies upon people, upon AA, indeed upon any circumstances whatsoever. Yes, I had to cut it off. And it took everything that I had. This is where willpower can work in your favor. Right? Then only could I be free to love as Francis had. Emotional and instinctual satisfactions I saw were really the extra dividends of having love, offering love, and expressing a love appropriate to each relation. There was my answer. I had to cut off those emotional dependencies and then utilize the St. Francis prayer. And it has helped my depression. Absolutely, it has. Right? But it's like everything else. First, you're going to have to recognize that it's even going on. Right? All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Forgot to do one thing here. If you like what we do here, please like, share, whatever you want to do. If you'd like to give a donation, Venmo is at Trudging Together. Cash App, Dion G. Miller. Every dollar counts and helps us out. The Daily Trudge and the podcast need to start being a little more self-supporting. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and keep on trudging.